Hi, this is Mrs. Johnson. I'm here to tell you about section 11-4 in your book, Adding Integers. So there were two rules that I told you about in class today. Two rules for adding integers. The book started out, let's go ahead and go to our number line. The book started out telling you with number lines how to do this. Well, let's say, let me just give you an example. Let's say our warm-up was something like this, 3 plus 4. And a lot of you are going, well, I know how to do that already, Miss Johnson. Don't insult my intelligence. Well, the reason that I wanted to do this is because it shows you that you've actually been adding integers for a very long time. Remember, integers are just whole numbers. They're either positive whole numbers or they are negative whole numbers. So we're not talking about fractions, we're not talking about decimals, we're talking about positive and negative whole numbers. And a number line is a perfect way to show you this. So for this problem, you start at 0, always. And for positive 3, we go to the right, because these are our positive numbers. We jump 3 spaces, so we land here. And then for plus 4, we start where we left off, which was at the 3, and we add another 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer for that is a positive 7 equals plus 7. Start at 0, add the 3, go 4 more, you land at 7. Now, you've been doing that with the positive numbers all along. Now you have negative numbers. So let's go ahead and show you what negative 3 plus a negative 4 is. And some of you are saying, why do they put it in parentheses? Well, wouldn't it be kind of confusing if I said negative 3 plus negative 4? You've got a plus and a negative right next to each other, so it makes it confusing. That's why we put the parentheses around the negative 4. All right, so let's do this one. Let me go ahead and erase my work for the other one. Let's see, negative 3. You know what, I'm just going to draw another number line instead to show you the difference. So I'm going to draw my own number line. It's not going to look as pretty as that one, but it'll do. Okay. And we've got 0. I'll put that in red. Bless you, Nate. You've got 0 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8. And I'll label those. Whoops, 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. Okay, so for this one, well, I can't point to it, can I? I got to point to it with this. Okay, for this one, we're going to start at 0 again, and we're going to go negative 3. So when we go negative 3, start at 0, okay? And when we go negative 3, we're going to move to the left 3, because remember, less is left, okay? Negative is left. So jump 1, 2, 3. There's my first one. And then I'm adding negative 4 to that, which means I keep going in that direction 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer is negative 7 in that case. Now, look, we still get 3 plus 4. We still added, but since they were both positive numbers, we gave it a positive sign. And we added, and since they were both negative numbers, we give it a negative sign. So it's not the same answer. Negative 7 is over here. Positive 7 is over here. It's not the same answer. But we did the same thing to solve the problem. So that was our rule number 1. Let me go ahead and turn that back to what it was. Rule number 1 says, like I told you in class, it's really cool that, you know, we can show you how to do this with a number line, but you're going to want to know the rules because we don't have number lines in our pockets, do we? Okay, so rule number 1 says if it's the same sign, you add and give it that sign. So give answer that sign. And I gave you 2 examples in your notes. Example 1 said, let's say, I just used pluses and minuses. So plus plus a plus equals a, you add and give it a plus. Okay? And then a negative, so we can put numbers in there. 3 plus 4 was our example, equals a positive 7 because these are both positive numbers. Example 2, I gave you a negative plus a negative. Even though these are negatives, they're the same sign. So the same sign means that we find the sum. So again, add. And in this case, though, since we're adding negatives, it gives a negative sign to the answer. So my example, again, was -3 plus -4. And again, put that in parentheses so it doesn't confuse us. And we add, we get 7, but since these were both negative numbers, we give it a negative sign. Okay? So my little way of remembering it, I'm going to highlight this when I write it. So my little way of remembering it was same equals sum. What do both of those start with? Ooh, S. So when they are the same sign, you have to find the sum. Okay? That was the way that I gave you to remember. So remember that. If it's the same sign, you got to add, give it that sign. All right? Rule number 2. I'm hoping you guys have your notes, but pause it here if you don't. I'm going to go on and get another page for myself here. Oh, wait, let me undo that. Get my mouse. Insert another page. And let's go ahead and do this after this page. Okay, rule number 2 comes when we have different signs, because that's the first thing. You guys' hands went up. You said, well, okay, if I have 2 pluses, I add and I give it a plus. If I have 2 negatives, I add and I give it a negative. What do I do if I have 1 plus 1 negative? Okay, so for this, you're going to, let me give you a problem. Let me get my pen. And let's do 4 plus -6. So again, we're going to start at 0 right here. Okay, and you're going to go 4 first, because positive 4, remember, if there's nothing, it's understood to be positive. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, lands us there. And then -6, we got to go back the other way to go negative. We're going to start where we left off. Bless you, give me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that lands us at -2. Now, how can you get a -2 from a 4 and a 6? Well, if we add 4 and 6, we get 10, so that's not it. But if we subtracted 6 minus 4, when we get that 2? Yeah, so if we have opposite symbols, if we have opposite signs, if we have a positive, which we do, a positive and a negative, then we subtract, and we give it the number, the symbol of the higher absolute value. Now, I talked about absolute value. Absolute value, you're used to talking about which is bigger, which is smaller. Well, absolute value is the distance a number away. Distance a number is from 0. So it's got nothing to do with which is bigger or which is smaller. It's the distance it is from 0. So we show absolute value like this. So the absolute value of a positive 4, it's 4 away from 0. Okay? I'm going to erase these for this problem real quick. I'm going to show you. Oh, wait. Let me erase it without erasing the whole thing here. Okay. So the absolute value of 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 from it. So the absolute value is 4 spots away. Oh, that's -4, though, isn't it? Darn it. Let's try that again, guys. I had -4, not 4. Okay, so I have a positive 4 here. I'm going to start at 0 and go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 spots away, so that makes it 4 spots away from 0. Now, -6, get a different color. Start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's right here. How many spots away is that? 6. So it's further away than the positive 4. Even though it's a smaller number, it's more spaces from 0, so it's farther away. So its absolute value is larger. All right, so the absolute value of -6 equals 6, which is bigger, this one. So that's how I get to the -2 on my answer. So I'm going to erase this. And I'll redo the problem for you. So I'm starting at 0, okay, and going positive 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, land there. Then go back -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I landed at -2. That's where I get that negative number, because the absolute value of -6 is further away from 0 than 4. So whichever one has the larger absolute value, that's the symbol that you give it. That's the sign that you give it. So 6 minus 4 is 2, and then you give it a negative because 6 is further from 0 than 4. I hope that was clear, even though I messed it up a little bit. Sorry, guys. We'll do some more examples. Okay, so rule number 2 then. Rule number 1 was if they were the same sign, you find the sum. So you add them, give it that sign. Rule number 2, different signs equals difference. And when you're finding the difference, what are you doing, guys? Subtracting. So this is my way to remember it. I remember different signs and difference means to subtract. Okay, so this is the way that you remember what to do. But we're going to go ahead and go a little further with that. So if you have opposite signs, positive, I'm just going to say, and negative, you subtract, and you can put the first number, the bigger number first. So if you need to switch the order of the numbers, that's fine. Okay? Subtract, put the bigger number first, and then give it the sign. Give your answer the sign of the higher absolute value. So absolute value. And remember, the absolute value is the one, the higher absolute value is the one that's furthest away from 0. Okay? All right. So rule number 1, same, find the sum. Add them, give it that sign, whatever sign it is. Okay? Rule number 2, if they're different signs, find the difference. So subtract them, and then give the sign of the higher absolute value. All right, so examples. Those of you that listen to these, look, we get to do some homework problems, which is super cool. Yay! I'm going to make it bigger for you. All right, so the first problem looks like this. It says, write the addition modeled on the number line. So before I was giving you the problem and I put it onto the number line, well, now they're giving you the number line and asking you what the problem was. So what did we start out at? We always start at 0, okay? And what did they do first? Well, they went over positive 3. So my first number is going to be 3. And I'm adding, okay? So after the positive 3, they went another positive 2. So you could write plus 2, but there's no reason to write 2 pluses, is there? It's just 3 plus 2. And where did they land? At the 5. So to go with our rule, I know you guys know that 3 plus 2 is 5. I know that. It's okay. But to go with the rule, we have a positive 3 plus a positive 2. We have the same sign. So you add and give it the sign that it is. So a positive 3 plus a positive 2 equals, you add them, and it's a positive 5 because these were both positive. Okay? All right. Next one. Next section, it says find each sum. Well, you have 2, number 2. We have a negative 5 plus 9. So number 2, negative 5 plus 9. Do I have the same sign or different signs? I have different signs. Okay? When it's different, I'm going to write this up here. Different equals difference, which means to subtract. Okay? Same means to find the sum, so you add. Okay, different, difference, same, sum. So let's write that. Same equals sum, which is adding. Okay, so we have different ones, so we're going to subtract. I'm going to go ahead and put the 9 first because it's easier for me. 9 minus 5 equals 4. Okay, now I got to figure out what sign to give it. Is it a positive 4 or is it a negative 4? So 9 is 9 spots away from 0. 5 is 5 spots away from 0. So since 9 is further away from 0, it has a higher absolute value, so we give it whatever that higher absolute value is. Whichever is furthest away from 0, we give it that one. So it's going to be a positive 4. Now remember, I don't have to write the positive 4. I can just write 4, but I just wanted you to know that that's why. All right, number 3. Number 3 is negative 3 plus negative 2. And remember, we put that negative 2 in parentheses. Let's see. I know that there's a plus sign here, but what kind of number is this? It's a negative number. And this is a negative integer as well. So we're going to, when they're the same sign, we find the sum. Same sum. So we add 3 plus 2, which gives me 5. But what kind of numbers were these? These were negative integers, both of them. So I give it that symbol, that sign. Okay, it's negative 5. Number 4. 8 plus negative 7. All right, so we've got 8 plus negative 7. We have a positive 8 and a negative 7. Uh-oh, different. So different means to find the difference, which is subtracting. So 8 minus 7, which equals 1. And now we've got to figure out whether to make it a negative 1 or a positive 1. Well, we're looking at absolute value. Absolute value of 8 is 8 away from 0. Absolute value of 7 is 7 away from 0. Since 8 is further from 0, we're going to give it that sign, which is a positive. So it equals a plus 1. Number 5, we have 10 plus a negative 3. We have a plus and a minus, so they're different. We find the difference. 10 minus 3 gives me 7, and the absolute value of 10 is higher than the absolute value of 3 because 10 is further away from 0 than 3. So we're going to give it whatever that has, which is a plus sign. So it equals plus 7. Number 6, we have negative 4 plus negative 8. These are the same sign, same equals sum. So we add 4 plus 8, which gives me 12. But my answer is actually going to be a negative 12 because the sign that we were adding, the integers that we were adding, were both negative. And the last one in this section, number 7, we have negative 1 plus 5. Okay, so we have opposite signs. So different signs means that we have to subtract. I'm going to switch them just to find the difference between them. Is 4. And then 1 is only 1 away from 0. 5 is 5 away from 0. So the absolute value of 5 is higher than the absolute value of 1. So it's going to be a positive answer, which gives me a positive 4. Okay? Everybody okay with that so far? Again, please tell your friends that homework is done on, this is just a completion grade, guys. So as long as you're working through it with me, I'm just fine with you doing this. I'm fine with giving you the answers as long as you're working through it with me. Okay. On the next assignment, I'm not going to be giving you the answers. You better figure out how to do it yourself somewhere in this, okay? All right. So now they were given an expression. Notice I was careful about what I said. It's algebraic expression because it does not have an equal sign. If it had an equal sign, it would be an equation. So it says evaluate n plus negative 2 for each value of n. Well, they give you n, guys. Don't freak out on me. They tell you in each of these problems n equals whatever. So in this case, number 8, it's n equals negative 10. So I'm going to put that negative 10 into this expression right here. So it's negative 10 plus a negative 2. Not 1, 2, Mrs. Johnson. There we go. Okay, we have the same sign, so we're going to add 10 plus 2, which equals 12. But here, we have to give it a negative sign because we were adding negative integers, so it's negative 12. Okay, number 9, we have 2 being our n, so n equals 2. And it's 2 plus negative 2. Okay, we have opposite signs, so we have to find the difference. 2 minus 2 equals 0. Guys, I don't have to worry about what the symbol, the sign is on that. I don't need to worry about whether 0 is negative or positive. These are opposites. They cancel each other out. It's just 0. Okay? 0 is neutral. It's neither negative nor positive. All right, number 10. We have a negative 2 now. So it's negative, n equals negative 2. Okay? So it's negative 2 using the same expression plus negative 2. Same sign. So I add 2 plus 2, which equals 4. And that equals a negative 4 because they were negatives. Number 11 is negative 15. This is one that I was waiting for. Negative 15 plus a negative 2 is my problem. Oh no, they're both negative, so I have to add them. Darn it, I was wanting one where I had to give it a different sign. Okay, so negative 15 plus negative 2, it's 15 plus 2, which equals 17. And since it's negative, we have to put a negative 17 for our answer. Okay, let me make this smaller. See if I can get this smaller so that I can fit more on there. Darn it, that's not what I wanted to do. You guys like my mistakes, right? It makes this interesting. Okay, let's try again. There we go. See? If you don't succeed, try again. All right. Make that a little smaller. It messed up my number 8, but that's okay. All right. Number 12 is 12. So n equals 12. And 12 plus negative 2. It equals 12 minus, they're different, so we got a 12 minus 2. We got to subtract 12 and 2, which is 10. And since 12 is furthest away, it's got furthest away from 0, it's got the highest absolute value, it's a positive 10. If this were a positive and that were a negative, then we'd have it a negative number, okay? I want to do one like that because it doesn't seem like any of these are like that. So that would be a positive 10. I'm going to do one of my own because I want my own problem here. Let's say I have negative 9 plus 3, okay? So these are opposite signs, right? So I have to subtract 9 minus 3, which equals 6. Now, it's not 6, just 6, because, look, 9 is 9 away from 0. 3 is 3 away from 0. So since 9 is furthest away from 0, I got to give it that sign. I got to give it the sign of negative 9 because it's got the highest absolute value. So this actually equals a negative 6. Okay? Let's try another one like that. 13 plus negative 21. Okay? They're opposite signs. We have a positive 13 because there's nothing there, and a negative 21. So I'm going to subtract 21 minus 13 just like I always would. I want to write this up and down, though, because I have to borrow, don't I? 8 and 0. So 21 minus 13 equals 8, but I have to look at my signs. This was a positive 13. That's 13 away from 0. Negative 21 is 21 away from 0. So what kind of 8 is it going to be? Positive or negative? Negative. And a lot of you guys were saying, oh, because it's the bigger number. It's not the bigger number. It's the higher absolute value. The bigger number would actually be, the bigger integer would actually be 13. Okay? The higher absolute value is what we're going for here, which is which one is furthest away from 0. Okay? I hope this helps you guys out. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.